Hello and welcome to Hooky Street. Now you might be wondering what on earth I'm going on about. I'm actually making a reference to the long-running BBC television comedy series Only Fools and Horses. And the reason I've made that reference today is because I'm in an area of South London called Peckham. Now Peckham is where Only Fools and Horses was actually set, and I'll be talking a bit more about that later on. But first of all, I'll tell you where I am. I'm at the brand new Peckham Travelodge, which is right in the centre of Peckham, and at the time I made this film it actually had only been opened for a few weeks, so it's in fantastic condition, and I will give you a tour of the room in a moment. Now obviously by the time you watch this film it might not be quite as good, it depends when you watch it, but this film's actually made just literally a couple of weeks after the Travelodge has opened. I need to make an important point right from the start, and I'll say this in the nicest possible way. This is not the best area of London, it really isn't, and it's quite handy, it's convenient. There are lots and lots and lots of shops and pubs and restaurants and all sorts of stuff around here, and the Travelodge is right opposite the main bus station. There's a couple of train stations about 10 minutes walk away. There's no underground, there's no tube anywhere near, but there are a couple of overground train stations. But the area itself, I have to be honest, isn't the nicest area at all, and I'm putting that gently, I'm putting it mildly. It is actually quite a bad area, and that is probably the main disadvantage of staying at this particular Travelodge. The Travelodge itself seems to be fantastic from what I've experienced so far. It's lovely and clean, it's very modern, the staff are incredibly friendly, but I just wanted to put that warning right at the start that it isn't a great area of London, it is quite a rough area of London. It seems fairly safe, but I would exercise the usual caution, especially if you're walking around late at night.
Well, as you'd expect at Travelodge, there is a very, very comfortable bed. I don't think I've ever had a bed at a Travelodge that isn't comfortable, and it's nice and clean. And as I said earlier, it is a brand new hotel, so you would expect it to be very clean. But the bed is really comfortable, nice pillows, beautifully comfortable mattress. A nice little touch there, they've put the towels nicely folded on the bed, which they don't normally do. Television. It's a reasonable size. It's a 32-inch television, which isn't as big as you get in a lot of Premier Inns, but it's perfectly adequate. We are, as you can see, very close to the bed, so if I'm in bed at night watching telly, then 32-inch TV is fine. And obviously because it's a new hotel, the television is very new, and it's a good brand. It's a Philips, which means that I can also plug my USB sticks into the back and watch some films later on. Some of the cheaper TV brands you can't do that, but Philips are very good at that. So I tend to bring films along on a USB stick and plug them in the back and watch the films later at night. Then moving on to the bathroom, which is tiny, but again very clean, as you would expect. There's no bath, there's just a shower and the usual soap dispenser, nice big shower head. It's a fairly powerful shower, and if you've watched my other films then you'll know what I'm about to say. It has one of these hose type arrangements, which I prefer, and I won't explain why. You'll have to watch my other films and I give an explanation why I prefer those hoses. There is a very specific reason, which you'll find out if you watch my other films. So obviously the wash basin, toilet, all immaculately clean, and then the mirror, and you see me there. Okay, so that's all I can really say about the bathroom. One really good feature, although it's an essential feature, is the air conditioning, and the air conditioning is great. Now this is the style of air conditioning they have in the Travelodge super rooms, so it is actually really, really good, and it's very effective. But it's essential because, swinging around, the windows don't open. And I understand why they've done this, partly for the soundproofing, so they've got really good soundproofing. It's you can open this bit, but you can't open the outer window. And when I close the second bit, as you can see it's double glazed, it's almost silent, and it's wonderful because this is a really busy main road. You've got a big branch of Morrison's supermarket opposite. You can see down there, not the nicest of areas, but really, really, really busy with traffic, and yet it's fine. You can hardly hear any noise at all. So really nice soundproofing, which you'd expect in a newer hotel. But that means it does get very hot in here, and this is a very hot day. I'm here in the middle of August, and it is a really hot day. So having that air conditioning, it's nice air conditioning, but it's pretty much essential, really. I don't think we could have managed without it. Moving down to the sockets, all the sockets have USB ports, which is quite useful because it means you obviously have to still bring your charging wire, but you don't have to bring a charger because you can plug them straight into that USB port there. And then onto the coffee and refreshments. Plastic kettle, bit disappointing. I prefer the metal kettles that you get in Premier Inn. Usual stingy amount of coffee and milk, but I'm quite sure they'll give me more if I go to reception. A couple of mugs. Obviously, as I say in all my films, the wine, the beer, the cider, the chocolate, the peanuts and the crisps, I brought myself. They do not provide them, you have to bring them yourself. And then swinging round, you've got the usual problem with coat hangers. I think they've given me 6 coat hangers here, which is perfectly adequate for me. I'm only staying 3 days and I'm on my own. But if you were staying more than 3 days and say you're a couple or a family, then I don't think 6 coat hangers is enough. But if you're just a single person travelling on your own, or if you're only here for a few days, then that's absolutely fine. Nowhere to put your bag, so I've just had to shove it on that chair there. They've given me 2 chairs, given me a red one and a blue one next to the desk. And it's the usual bog standard desk. So some of the features in this room are actually the same as what you get in a Travelodge super room. For example, the USB charging points, the really good air conditioning. Television's nice as well. Some of the features are more like what you get in a standard Travelodge room. This is a standard room, and they don't have super rooms here, they only have standard rooms. But some of the features you get here are the same as what you'd get in a Travelodge super room, such as the USB charging points and also slightly bigger television, and the air conditioning, which sometimes they only provide in a super room. Sometimes in the standard rooms they will just give you a fan, but here they have given very good air conditioning as well, and it's a really good one as well. It's really effective. I certainly recommend that. But as I said earlier, it's essential. You couldn't really manage without it because it's quite hot and you can't open the windows. So on the whole, it's basic, it's functional, it's very clean as you would expect being a new hotel. There's comfortable beds, a nice telly. It is basic, don't get me wrong. I'm not suggesting it's the height of luxury. It's kind of 2-star, not really reaching 3-star. It's good 2-star standard. It does the job. It's cheap and cheerful, but it's clean, it's nice, it's a good place to spend the night, or a couple of nights. I wouldn't want to stay here more than 3 nights. I think more than that, and I'd want to stay somewhere better. But just for a few nights, it's perfectly adequate, and it's very, very clean and very, very modern. Nice clean carpet, very clean walls, absolutely spanking brand new, immaculate condition. But as I've said a few times already, you would kind of expect that simply because it is a new hotel. The big caveat is if you're watching this film in a few years' time, it might not be quite as good, but it certainly is at the moment. I can't really fault it now, but then that is what you would expect when the hotel has only been open a few weeks. Samsung air conditioning really blasting out the cold air. It's lovely. I'm standing underneath it now. I'm very hot because it's a very hot day, and it's really effective. So top marks for giving a really good air conditioning system. Nice secure door, and the door actually worked. It's with the key card thing, sometimes they don't work. This one worked perfectly. Again, all these things you kind of expect simply because it's such a new hotel, so you do expect things to work properly.
So what about that reference to Only Fools and Horses? Well, it's actually quite funny. If you are a big fan of the TV series, then you'll probably already know what I'm about to tell you. But if you're not a massive fan, then this might surprise you that the TV series actually was never filmed in Peckham. It was set in Peckham, and there are lots and lots and lots of references to Peckham throughout the entire TV series. They're always making references to Peckham, but it actually wasn't filmed in Peckham. It wasn't even filmed in London. It was filmed 150 miles away in Bristol in the West Country, and even many of the pub scenes, the famous pubs that are shown, they were actually in and around Bristol. And the funniest thing of all, I thought the one thing that I would find here in Peckham would be Nelson Mandela House, which is the fictional tower block where Del Boy and Rodney actually lived. And actually that wasn't even filmed here. The actual tower block that's shown in the TV series is actually in Acton, which is the other side of London. It's actually West London, in a nicer part of London. So the tower block that was supposedly in the middle of Peckham, even that wasn't actually in Peckham. So the only thing authentic really is they use the word Peckham, but apart from that there is absolutely no connection with Only Fools and Horses. So I just thought I'd mention that right from the start. If you're coming here because you're a massive fan of the TV series, then you will be badly disappointed, because none of the things that were mentioned in the actual TV series were actually filmed here at all, including the pubs and the actual home of Del Boy and Rodney. But I just thought I'd mention that. Peckham is an area that I don't know very well. I now live in Yorkshire. I've lived in Yorkshire for many decades. I used to live in London, and I lived in North London, in a really posh part of London. I lived in an area called Finchley, and then I moved to an even posher area called Highgate. So when I moved north, my main experience of London was of the posh part of North London. This is the exact opposite. I have to be honest, if you're a tourist and you're visiting London and you need to be in the south side of London, then this is very convenient. Although there isn't an underground station anywhere near there. It's very well served for buses. Buses fantastic. Trains, two train stations in Peckham. There's Peckham Rye, and then there's another one just a bit further away. Peckham Rye is the nearest station. It's fine if you're going further south, because you've got the trams when you get down to Croydon and further into South London, but you don't have the underground this side of London, so it is quite a way to the nearest London Underground station, and I think the nearest is probably Elephant and Castle. You can get a train link, a couple of stops on the overground train to Elephant and Castle, and then a short walk over to the Elephant and Castle tube station. So it's not the most convenient area of London to stay unless you've got a reason to be in South London. It's a good area in terms of things going on. There are loads of shops. There's a big Morrison supermarket. There's a bus station opposite. There's loads and loads and loads of little shops. There's a few pubs. There's a lot going on, a lot of people, an awful lot of traffic. Fortunately, the rooms are very well soundproofed, so I'm right on the main road overlooking the bus station, but there's no noise at all because there is really good soundproofing. But it is a very, very busy area. I wouldn't come here by car. I really wouldn't attempt it. There are some car parks around. You can't park directly at the hotel, and it's a really busy main road. And the traffic's flowing very, very slowly. So I personally would just avoid coming here and staying. If you're travelling by car, leave your car somewhere else. On another positive side, and the whole point of these films that I make is about budget travel in the big cities of Britain, and one of the big positives is it is quite cheap compared to some of the other travel lodges and budget hotels. This is a cheap one. The price has actually gone up quite substantially since it opened. It's only been opened a few weeks, and I booked several months ago before the hotel had opened, and it was relatively cheap then. It has gone up in price now, but it is still one of the cheaper travel lodges, so it has that on its side. Really friendly staff, the reception staff, the cleaning staff have been fantastic, really friendly, nice people, lots going on, not short of facilities. If you are a single traveller, especially if you're a single woman, I would just take care, especially late at night, because as I say, it isn't really the best area of London. I can't fault the hotel itself. It's brand spanking new, so it's really, really clean. The bathroom's clean, the rooms are clean. It's got that new smell to it, that new clean smell. It's beautifully clean. Although I did notice on the outside there's loads of graffiti on the building already, and it's only been open a couple of weeks, so maybe that says something. But yeah, great staff, really clean, really nice hotel, modern. It's in a very useful area. It's not too far from 2 train stations. But on the negative side, you do just have to bear in mind that this isn't the best area of London, and it's not served at all by London Underground, although you're fine for buses, you're fine for trains. Would I stay here again? I have to be totally honest, the answer is no, unless I needed somewhere cheap. And that's not to say anything against the hotel, because the hotel is great, but it's handy for me this particular weekend because I'm taking a trip down to Brighton later on for a festival, and it's very handy because it's in South London and it's quite easy to get the train down to Brighton from here. And also this is a very expensive weekend in August, so it would have been very expensive if I'd stayed more into central London. So I was trying to save a bit of money, and it's also very convenient for me getting down to the south coast, down to Brighton. But I wouldn't stay here again by choice, simply because of the area, because it isn't a great area and it's not very well served for public transport. If you need somewhere cheap to stay, it's quite a good quality hotel. Obviously it's a budget hotel, it's a Travelodge, but it's in really good condition, it's really new. So if you're looking for somewhere cheap, why not stay here? It'll take you about half an hour to get into central London, which isn't too bad. And as I say, if you don't mind not having the underground, some people prefer to use London Underground. They feel a bit nervous about using buses and trains, but once you get used to them, the buses actually are really good, and the train services are really good as well. So once you get used to using trains and buses, it can be just as convenient as using London Underground, but you do have to do a bit of research and work out the different train times and bus times. I like it, I'd recommend it, but personally, unless I really needed to save money, or if I had a reason to be in this part of London, then I probably wouldn't stay here again. But don't take that as a negative. It's perfectly fine, it's a great hotel, but just bear in mind it's not really the best location. Well, thanks for watching. I hope you found this useful. I hope you enjoy my films. I have lots of films on YouTube about budget hotels throughout the United Kingdom, in particular Travelodge and Premier Inn, and I've also started making films as well about Best Western and Ibis hotels. So that covers 4 of the main budget hotel brands in the United Kingdom. So please have a look at my other films. I've visited nearly every Travelodge in London, and I've covered a lot of them on my channel. If you've enjoyed it, please give a like, share, subscribe to my channel, especially subscribe. It's a massive help. I don't make much money from these films at all. I make literally a few pennies, but it is always very useful to have shares, to have likes, and especially to have new subscribers. And of course, please put your comments in the box below. If you want me to cover any other hotels, just make a suggestion and I'll be very happy to visit those hotels and make a film about them as well. Until next time, safe travelling. My name's Darren Bugg. Have a great one.